Hey guys, welcome to DigiMerch TV. My name is Todd Hart. I'm the CEO of Digital Memorabilia Group, and today I'm welcoming Jake Desrochers of Holy Water, our first artist collaboration. Jake, welcome, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Really, really well. I'm super excited about this collaboration, and Phil and I, who's the chairman of the company, we both really appreciate our relationship with you, and this has been an amazing experience meeting you in person. When I flew out to California, we got to hang out. I got to see the band play. Just really, really cool. A bunch of good people, and I really appreciated that. So thank you for this. Do me a favor. Tell everybody about you, who you are as a musician, and then tell us about Holy Water.
Yeah, like you said, my name is Jake or Jacob Desrochers. I have been a musician for the majority of my life. I started playing in punk rock bands when I was about 15 years old, and was all through high school and then after high school. And I started a band with some close friends from high school. And in my mid to late 20s, we ended up getting a record deal and getting signed and getting to tour. We probably went around the US probably 25 or 30 times, a lot of West Coast tours. And then we were able to tour Europe a dozen times and just put out three studio full length albums, a couple EPs, and just like so many demos and stuff that I couldn't even count. So a lot of recording experience, a lot of touring experience, a lot of stage hours logged, but mainly what I was able to sort of pull from that rich sort of experience was just like that sense of community and drive and commitment and willingness to kind of make the proper sacrifices it takes, especially when there's not any forcing money on the table. You're doing it for the love of it or doing it for the cause, as they say. So as I started, getting further and further deeper into music and into songwriting, I I've always really been interested in like a lot of electronic music and not so much how repetitive it is, but sort of like hypnotic and how sound affects people emotionally, not just like words and stuff. So I think being in a rock band, a hard rock band, punk or hardcore, or whatever you want to call it, a lot of times you're asking people to sort of absorb your angst. You're playing at them from a certain, maybe not limited level of emotions and whatnot, but it usually comes across pretty raw, pretty angry, pretty in your face, which I really love. And you can really get your point across that way. But something for me like electronic music opened up this other inner vast territory of emotions that had a lot more introspection and a lot more maybe not uplifting like trying to inspire people, but to pull out other elements inside of myself and try to share that more personal, more introspective, more I don't know, even spiritual aspect that revolves around my brain and how can I connect people with the uses of sound. I mean, I also sing on some Holy Water songs and try to get some words across there. But my dogs are barking. Just
That's
awesome
okay. My
time.
dog's probably going to start barking upstairs, so don't even
Yeah.
worry about
Uh,
it. Don't even worry.
but with Holy Water, I found this ability to, like I said before, create sound and how to affect people emotionally with sound, and not so much just with like loud heavy guitars and things. I could orchestrate a little bit more. I could create all the instruments from my fingertips, writing in the box on a computer or on synthesizers and whatnot. So I started to learn how to DJ and was doing a lot of bar gigs and different clubs and things, and that was cool. And used to play a lot of like online, a lot of the producers and electronic artists that I liked. I'd play a lot of them, and then a lot of times at bars, you have to play music that you might not necessarily like, but that's what the crowd likes, like some low hanging fruit on the tree. Sometimes you're there to please the crowd, and so creatively I wasn't really getting to share my vision as far as what I was trying to get across music, because I'm basically just pressing play and mixing songs of other artists, which is its own skill, like great
Yeah.
DJs. they're selecting the best songs back to back to back. My interest really lied within creating my own music and learning how to write songs. So eventually I got some software and a hold of some synthesizers and was able to start creating my own beats and my own music in that way. And doing some sound design that I felt could help affect and translate more of what I was feeling, and not having to share that sound or collaborate with other artists. Like it would come strictly from me internally. And I think, like, I heard this quote: one of the best things you can do for an audience is to ignore them. And I kind of resonate with that. Not that I don't care about making a connection, but instead of me trying to get them to pay attention to what I'm doing, like I've had to do in rock and roll, this is something that I'm trying to clue them into more organically and more internally. So when they hear a sound, it's like kind of like classical music. When you hear it, some of it makes you want to cry, and then some of it makes you want to go to battle. It just has to do with the
Yes.
notes, the
Yeah.
cadence, the timing, that kind of a thing. And I think with electronic music, for me at least, I'm able to express a deeper set of emotional, explanation of what I'm doing. So Holy Water was based out of that concept where I don't have to ask permission or dumb down any of my ideas or sacrifice anything. And it's just more creative and additive, trying to find sounds. Like I'll literally listen to hundreds and hundreds of sounds until I land on something that makes me feel a certain way. And that's what I'll base the sound off of, not a set of chords or some lyrics. I'm basing it off of some sound that reaches me in some area. So yeah, it's really, really interesting and really cool. And so far it's been great to be able to do
I,
that.
I got to tell you, it's not music that I've ever really gravitated towards. And then when I heard your song, which I want to talk about next, I keep listening to it. And I even said to Phil, I was like, there's something about this song. And you said how it makes you feel something. I really dig this song. I don't know what it, but it sort of puts me in like a trance state or something.
Yeah.
And I'm big into meditation. I do transcendental meditation, and so I'm used to feeling things. So yeah, it's pretty special. So let's talk about the song. Like, tell us about the song. And
Well, yeah, I mean, that's cool that you identify with that on that sort of level. It is something you have to sit and listen to. Like, I mean, there's songs that make you want to mosh, and then there's songs that make you want to dance and stuff. But like this kind of a song, I think it makes you want to think. And then try and sort of try to describe how it makes you feel. So Zero Destination was sort of this quest of self-will. I didn't really know exactly what it's about when I first started writing it, but the more I've gone into it, it's sort of like a love song, but learning how to love yourself in a way. Because I mean, as like a lot of people, I started out with really low self-esteem and a lot of that anger and a lot of that those expectations and that attitude that I built was to protect myself, and then to what ends, as
yeah,
you get grown, as soon as you get to be the perfect asshole, you have to take all your walls down and lighten up and let people in. And so that's what the Zero Destination is. It's like you're working super hard to prove to everybody how valid or how worth it you are, and then there's no one even to prove it to. You know what I mean? Like no one gives a shit.
I fucking love that.
And I'm not saying they do, but as they shouldn't. They have their own stuff to worry about. So it was like working. I set up all these rules that only existed for me, and everything on the outside seemed okay, but everything on the inside was this turmoil and this fight. And I swear, like in my life, I've created conflict because I grew up in it. I'm so used to it. I've created it because that's where I can succeed. I can apply my self will and accomplish just about anything when I put my mind to it. The only thing I was never able to accomplish to do is love myself. And that's sort of that zero destination. It's like this massive void. I mean, I'm in a sober person. So this, recovery and addiction and all these things, just massive void inside myself that I was always pouring more stuff into and trying to create success to arc over all my flaws so that no one would ever notice or anything. It just grew and grew and grew. And it's like just this big void that you just jump headfirst into. At some point, your brain and your heart and your soul just gets eaten alive by this black hole, and then you're just floating around out there. And for me, I had to come back. I have kids. have a
Yeah.
life. I love my mom. I want to write music. I want to live in the real world and be mindful and be okay with sitting in a chair and just being in my own thoughts for a second without freaking out. And how am I going to achieve that? So for me, it was sort of like self-will. Like the first line in the songs, take a look in the mirror, but never look twice. It's sort of like, you don't want to, I wouldn't look too long because I didn't want to see something I didn't want to see. And for the first time in my life, through love and learning how to relax and mindfulness and some meditation and prayer and just kind of learning, creating music and moving forward through stuff, I've been able to look a little longer in the mirror and just understand and learn to care about the person that I am instead of just trying to cover up this flawed individual. Like, uncover it and just learn to be a more loving and kind individual. And music is sort of my way through that. I've always used music to tell the truth. I don't open my mouth on the microphone or in the studio sound design wise unless I absolutely mean what I say. It might be the only place in my life where I was telling the truth for a while, because I was just phoning it in and trying to tell people what they wanted to hear and just to get them off my back. But um some people are quiet and hide their truths. I just would pepper people with bullshit until they left me alone because they think they know what's going on. But deep down, I was really suffering, and all that suffering was due to my own will and trying to force things and trying to make things happen and trying to make breaks or cut corners or manipulate or control or all these different little oh micro infractions of life. I never like hurt anybody or stole or really wanted to be violent or anything, but all the little things that I did to try to come up, if you will, were just only hurting myself in the long run. So this song sort of revolves around that. It's just having a self-reflective moment to understand that the harder you work on getting what you want, the longer it's going to take. And the more you work on just doing what you love, the better it'll take. So when I apply self-will, I'm actually working harder against my goals than I would if I just did what I was supposed to do and work closer to love and then letting it come to me more. I've never even known that. I've been pushing hard my whole life. So holy water in its inception and in its concept was like this cleansing spirit. Like, I grew up Catholic, so you would dip your hand in and you're baptized in this dirty murky bowl of water, and it's sort of lesson. I always thought, like, okay, so water will transform you. And I like the clean purity of water. If you're on fire, you put it out, or just floating in the ocean and this immovable force. Like, you could get sapped out by a wave and the ocean would keep on kicking. I feel so small and so humble. So for me, and just the sound being underwater and being in suspense, and like, it's a whole different world. And I love that sort of feeling. So for me, water is a very important element in my life, and learning how to flow, and it'll soak in and it'll grow things, and it just kind of has to move around. And I've always felt like this rock rolling down the street, someone kicking it along, but water just kind of flows and goes its own way, and can absorb things and change color, and it's liquid and transferable. So I think I got it from Catholic school, and then there was Bruce Lee. I said, like, be like water, and I always just kind of like that sort of saying, and wishing I was a lot more flexible my entire life, emotionally and spiritually, and maybe even financially. But I don't know, for me, that's what that sort of represents. Zero destination is just sort of like, work hard, but don't worry about where you're going. The work is the reward. The doing the creative act is the reward. It doesn't matter if people like it or not, or if you find commercial success. What matters if you like it, if it translates what you're saying, if you're telling the truth. And guess what? That's what people want to fucking hear, is your truth and stuff. They don't want to hear anything else. So yeah, that's what that's about.
I gotta say, so as you're speaking in my head, I'm thinking, God, I'm really glad that our paths have crossed. We've only known each other for, not that long of a time, but I feel very grateful that I get to know you and meet you and interact with you. And I really thank you for that. So it leads to my final question. Why did you partner with us? Like, what was it about what Phil and I were creating, trying to create, still creating? Like, what was it about it that attracted you and was like, okay, I want to work with these guys?
Well, for one thing, like on a more topical stance, when you look at new music and new music business, now I don't delve in it. I'm not some expert that knows how to make money in this new music era. It's constantly changing. The rules are changed. People release one song instead of albums. I mean, there's streaming, there's record label, there's deals that are called a 360 deal where the people get a cut of everything that they do, whether it's merchandise or live performance. I mean, when I was coming up in the late 90s and early 2000s, we were signed, they got a percentage of CD sales, they got a percentage. The agent got a percentage of the shows that they booked for you. The manager got a percentage of the deals that they were able to garnish. So now a lot of people are independent, and it's kind of up to you to do your proof. Like, however many people listen to your song online can kind of have some basic litmus test. Does that mean it's going to put asses in the seats? I don't think so. I mean, people go see bands they love and they follow, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of followers that couldn't put people in the club. I think always, hopefully, what's going to be true is an act or an artist or something they want to see sparks their interest and resonates with them. So they want to go watch it live. They want to hear it. It's going to be louder. It's going to make them feel something different.
Yeah.
And human interaction and being in a smoky, dingy club and hearing something and being uncomfortable and standing there and waiting for 45 minutes, it's all part of it. Because when it delivers, it transforms you from where you want to be. It's an escape into oneself. And I love that too. And that's my escape, like being able to perform live. So when I heard my friend was telling me about Phil, and then Phil had contacted me on Facebook and sort of ran it by me, I wasn't really sure because again, it wasn't, I didn't know exactly what it was, but when he explained it and how the artist can control the medium as far as what they put out there to be digested or to be sold, whether it's content, music, merchandise, and it could be kind of attained digitally. It kind of got my mind thinking, like getting ahead of the curve. Like someone should have sat down with Napster when that happened for the artist and said, like, hey, how can we monetize this? Like, obviously the world was changing. Obviously they're going to want to get someone a cut, but when you start off for free and then work your way backward from there, that just really seemed unreal. However, there would be no bands like my old band or Holy Water if it didn't exist that way. I can produce a song this afternoon. Shit, I could make one on my phone and put it online for worldwide distribution within an hour. It could be up on, and I could do the artwork on my phone. I could do everything. Not saying it's a great song, but that's pretty cool. Or old bands that people want to listen to instead of finding the CD in some, thrift store or record bin. They can just pull it up on their phone. I've friends screenshot me when they're listening to my old band all the time, like, oh, check it out, bro. I'm like, so when I saw you guys, when I heard about it, the more I thought about it was like, okay, these guys are trying to get ahead of the curve. They're trying to give artists a cut ahead of time and trying to help create a new revenue stream for these artists, and that's sort of the name of the game in this new music community, is finding different ways you can make money as a band. So my friends' bands, I don't live off my music yet. It's something I do on the side. I have a job, and I'm always in my work trying to create new revenue streams. I have like 2 or 3 different jobs, side hustles, whatever you want to call it. So music's the same way. So you have your music that you create, you have what you get paid to perform, you have songs you can sell for movies and things, you have merchandise you can sell to show. So these are all different streams of music. So creating a new stream of music, new revenue, is the name of the game, because CD sales are gone. Okay, so imagine you having a job, and then overnight, practically, you lose 78 to 80% of your revenue overnight. Like your royalty checks you were getting from CD sales went from $900,000 down to like $7,200. Like those are literal numbers I heard from a band that's had like numerous #1 hits. Okay, so in a 6-month period, they do it on the fiscal year. That's how big of a drastic change that streaming and those services made, because people aren't buying an item anymore. They're listening to the song one at a time. They could download it and you get a little bit more. YouTube pays pretty good for videos. That's why there's so many different bands like putting a lot of videos out online too, because the streaming, it's almost a little bit more worth it there to get people to watch. A lot of younger people watch and listen at the same time. Like my kids, like they watch and listen. I listen, and then
Yeah.
sometimes I was always a little distracted by MTV because I was looking at the outfits and stuff, and the videos are overdone, and I'm like, okay, that's not real life. But nowadays, it's kind of cool just to see an artistic representation of sound. I do all my own videos and stuff too because I like to control whatever visually is happening as well. But um, it's so tricky to create new revenue, and like how are you going to make a little bit of money, and no one's out here, like bands at my level are not trying to like make money. We'd obviously do it for free. I'm used to that, even though I was signed and toured all around, I didn't make any money during that time. I've put in way more money than I've ever gotten back. So here's a company that's willing to help a band monetize some content, leftover content, artwork, anything we can dream up, and they're giving us a cut of it that's fair,
Yeah.
more fair, basically an equal partnership in things. And when you do that business wise, everybody wins. Like
Mhm.
the more you put out, the more you sell, the bigger, return you get. And then the company gets to grow and blossom and help other bands.
Yep.
So if the first rock that drops in the water and spread out a little ripple effect and other artists can put out some stuff through you guys, then I just thought, why not? I mean, there was zero investment. I already had the music. And all that. And I was thinking about content and little videos. And then, when I was talking to Phil, I was like, oh man, what about releasing a song ahead of time? Like, what about doing a digital release? And then it made me thinking of like record collectors getting a song before it comes out, like a little
Mhm.
bit. They want to have that, build that little bit of that collection. So there's so many different variables to this. But if I didn't do it, I felt strongly that someone else would.
Yeah.
And so not costing me anything. And I've known Phil for like 20 years and he's just a good guy. And you
Yeah. He
seem,
is. Yeah.
like you are like a good person, and you flew out and looked us straight in the eye and kind of told us exactly what was what. And we're all building this together.
Yeah.
It's this pioneer thing. I've had a lot of crazy, not crazy, but just big picture ideas in my life. I've never been able to accuse, well, I guess being in a fucking band was my big picture thing, and I did execute it, and we did get pretty far. And Holy Water's starting to gain momentum. That's my big picture
Yeah.
project. But you had this thing, and it really sparked interest in my part. So that's why I decided to jump on board and try it. Because I have nothing to lose, because the imprint Holy Water has is so small at this point that it would be cool to help it grow and to use it as a litmus test for other artists that are actually doing that. Am I trying to take on the streaming services or the record labels? No. What I'm trying to do is help an artist create a new form of digital merchandise they can do to help increase a new revenue stream that hasn't existed yet. And I just think that's pretty cool. It's just like a different kind of a T-shirt or CD or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I when mixtapes were going to ruin the music business. I know that's pretty old. I remember
I
when
remember. I
yeah,
remember.
about CDs, and it was fine. It's collectors.
Yeah.
This is the way to collect. Every single piece of music I have that I listen to is on my phone, but it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to whatever service or whatever app I use.
Yeah.
But now someone can own Holy Water, and it belongs to them. That song, piece of what I did, and the greatest part is that you're directly supporting me as an artist. You're not supporting some guy that came up with this startup company or whatever. Not that they don't deserve every penny of what they get. What I'm saying is this is just music is pushing forward. There's new sounds that push the future. There's new apps, there's new startups. Every day there's something new coming out. And this has seemed like something that was genuine, that the music world sees, and you guys saw an opportunity there to help yourselves and also help artists. And I just wanted to be a part of that. And the fact that you guys have even ran with some of the ideas, or even the ethical foundation of doing it for the right reasons, really resonated with me as well. It's like it's like when you're in the music industry, everybody's a fucking lawyer and you got to protect yourself, right? Like you're always like, what are you trying to get from me? And the more I thought about it, is like, I don't have shit. Like these guys just want to help me,
Yeah.
and here I'm like being protective or being standoffish, but there's really nothing to lose besides just sharing my music. And if my friends and family and fans or whoever want to own this thing in their digital wallet because they had it before the rest of the world got to hear it, then that's cool. And I'm sure there's other artists, that there's so many people that love music that they'd love to own a piece of that because it means something to them. And I think it's going to be a really cool thing. So that's why I signed up.
I appreciate that. And you know, Phil and I both love music. And I've actually said my daughter too is a big fan of music. And I've actually said publicly, I've made the statement, I would rather lose if I had to choose between losing my eyes and my ears, I would say take my eyes because I couldn't live without music. I
Yeah.
couldn't imagine a world without music because it's just I'm always listening to music. And I couldn't imagine that. So we're
Well,
big fans of music. And also we're also like we know that fans want to support artists.
yeah.
And now as a fan, like you pay your, you know, whatever amount of money for Spotify or Apple Music, whatever. And we don't think about, hey, wait a minute, the artist isn't getting taken care of here. So that's why we wanted to create this as well. So fans realize, hey, you can help these people that are creating this music that you love that is kind of the soundtrack of your life. So yeah, we're excited about this. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are gonna dig it. They're going to want to support the artists, and I think artists are going to come on and be like, "Okay, you know, let's give this a try," because I think what we're doing is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and again, if you want to know the back end, that's you guys are happy to share that and like how it all breaks down and stuff. It's right there. It's really transparent, you know. And
Yeah,
for me, there was no risk involved in it. And if I could have a little bit of help and give back a little bit, I've gotten so much from music in my life, whether it's that experience, travel, I mean, meeting wonderful people. I
yeah,
mean, you know, my fiance, you know, even my kids, like I met my kids' mom through at a show. Like it's given me so much, like why not give back? Forever my dialogue's been get as much as you can, take, because you never know when it's gonna come back. Like that is just ingrained in my brain. And you know what? That didn't that didn't work, you know?
yeah, yeah,
So why not try something by giving back and taking a chance and that too. So, you know, this is built out of community and built out of love because I love music so much, then hopefully this will translate to other bands and they'll be able to keep on doing what they love doing. Because I'll tell you what, like 100% honestly, bands are struggling. It's so hard to travel. I mean, bands are falling off right and left. Tours are shorter. Ticket prices, you know
yeah,
what I mean? You know
yeah,
why tickets are going up? It's not because the bands are making more money. It's because they're making less because they can't afford to do more dates because it costs so much out there. And the service fees and all the companies are squeezing every little bit of dime out of this music industry because there's nothing left anymore. There are no, I mean, with streaming, it's made music so homogenized and so distributed and so easy to access that, and it's so cheap that people can just digest so much music. And bands are having to create music and just put content out, and content is like the opposite of art. You know what I mean? It's like you're just putting stuff out to put stuff out. Like I want it to mean something.
yeah.
So if you put out a great song and you feel about it, then it should be more valuable. And you should, and if you want to own a piece of that and help an artist, help them, support them for doing that extra work and stuff, then yeah, then pay a little bit more to have something that you have a part of and you're directly helping that investment. Like you're part of that process.
Yeah.
Because without people that listen to music, there will be no music, you know? And there would be no streaming services, there would be no record labels, there would be no like, you know, Capitol Records president that lives in a mansion on a private island, because people that bought those records of the Beatles and whoever else, you know, like they love that music and they bought it because they wanted to own a piece of that and they wanted to listen to music whenever they wanted to because it meant something to them. And they've monetized that. The bands didn't monetize that. The bands created music. The labels and the managers and all that stuff did that. So here's an artist for an artist's sake creating something, you know,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, you know. And I'm not saying we've been robbed because we have this rich experience. You know, I'm the one that got to go tour around and drink beers in hundreds of different countries and have fun and like, you know, meet all sorts of cool and interesting people. And I had a really rich experience, but I'm amongst like 1% maybe of artists that were able to do that. And it took everything I have in a lifetime to get that far. So when you're sitting there in your garage dreaming of rock stardom, I think that that pot at the end of the rainbow is so much smaller than even it was in the 70s or 80s or 90s. At least
Yeah.
back then, there was a chance. I'm from Sacramento, so there's a couple local bands that got signed and went on to worldwide fame. So there was that hope. Now I'm like, how does that happen? If you're just some SoundCloud rapper and it just takes off, or you pay playlisting to get on all the right playlists. Like, I don't even know how you would get there. Are major labels even the way to go now? Because I know radio is sort of obsolete because people just listen to what they want to listen to.
Yeah.
But you know what they're listening to? The same favorite songs they've always listened to. So why not have a piece of that? I don't have any records laying around. I don't lug that around, but I could keep them on my phone. I'd
Yeah.
buy digi merch singles from bands that I love so that I can like sift through it and just have a piece of that and support an artist directly. If I can't get to the concert to buy a t-shirt, or I don't want to pay $750 to sit in the nosebleeds to watch them do their thing,
Yeah.
it helps support them in this way. Or even bands, for me, it would be underground bands that are working their way up and stuff that need the help, because that's the future of music. And that's where I'm at, is listening to bands that are active now. I
Yeah.
know Pink Floyd will be fine. They're good. They
Yeah.
sold a lot of.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about the next round of bands. So I know I'm really long-winded when it comes to this, but from more of an altruistic level, I just feel like digital merchandise is a way bands can create a revenue stream that helps support them, and fans can funnel that in. I know GoFundMe has really helped some bands and stuff too. You don't get a lot back of that, just the knowledge that you helped a band. This is a way you get something in return, and you want a piece of something, and you're also helping them along the way, and that creates future recordings and future things. Now, if they're making a little bit of money off this, they're not just taking money, they're making money. They can make another song and another
Yep.
song and release more
Yeah.
content. The ball keeps. So,
Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
that it's fine for crowdfunding, but it kind of stops when that's done.
I gotta say, I appreciate your passion for this. I really do. And you're the perfect first artist to collaborate with on this. And I'm grateful. I know Phil is grateful, and we're just super excited about it. And I know we've got more stuff coming in the future with you, with your band and all of that. But I just
Yeah.
love that we started here, and I'm excited for the next steps and where we go from here. But I wanted to thank you again for working with us, partnering with us, being the first artist out there, and just taking the time and really helping us kind of get this off the ground. And even now, like taking time on a Saturday to chat with me. So I appreciate you.
Hey, I mean, I could talk about this stuff all day, really, because it's been inside of us, and every artist that ever has tried to make a living at it would understand that.
Yeah.
So it's worth a shot. Like, without a dream, like, what do we have?
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
I'm a dreamer.
I
Will
love
be
it.
until the day I die.
There you go. All right, guys,
Keeps me alive.
thank you for watching. I'm going to put the link in all of our socials. Please go and support Holy Water. I love the song. Own a piece of it and check it out. And we're excited for all the stuff that we've got coming. Jake, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your time.